Good evening. Hello, I'm Sarah Fillmore. Welcome to this evening's In Conversation, Delta Braids with Darcie Bernhardt. Art can be a powerful tool for change, and through this monthly virtual series, In Conversation, presented by TD Banks, we hope to challenge perceptions by elevating diverse voices and perspectives. The Art Gallery of Nova Scotia shares the work of artists, engages creativity, and inspires conversations on Mi'kma'ki, the territory of the Mi'kmaq Nation for more than 13,000 years. Tuktuyaaqtuuq, currently known as Halifax, has only existed for 271 years. We honor the peace and friendship treaties, the Mi'kmaq Nation, as well as the land itself. While Mi'kma'ki stretches across 5 Canadian provinces and 1 American state, we know that folks are tuning in from near and far. Thank you. And we acknowledge the Indigenous territory in which we live and carry gratitude as we continue to live, learn, and work. It's my pleasure here as your host to introduce tonight's conversation and to introduce the 2 artists who are going to be having that conversation. It's my pleasure to introduce Aidan Gillis, who's the Indigenous Arts Programmer here at the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia, as well as a practicing artist of Mi'kmaq and French roots in Dahomguk on the west coast of Newfoundland. Growing up primarily on Wolastoqiyik territory in New Brunswick, Gillis graduated from NSCAD University in 2017. As an active urban Indigenous community member, Gillis serves as a member on the board of the Mi'kmaq Native Friendship Centre and the executive committee for the Canadian Art Gallery Educators. Aidan will be speaking with Darcie Bernhardt, who's an artist from Tuktuyaaqtuuq. She's also an alumna of NSCAD University. She was raised in Tuktuyaaqtuuq, where the ocean's harsh wind carves the western Arctic landscape. Bernhardt has a special bond that's been created with this ecosystem, with her family and a sense of place. Her oil painting practice has primarily focused on the narratives of domestic life in the North, stemming from memories of home. Darcie was the featured artist for the Inuit Art Foundation titled Nanook and Jiju at the Art Toronto Fair in October of 2019. I'm so pleased to welcome you here this evening and to give Aidan and Darcie a chance to share their experiences, their work, and have this conversation with you. Aidan.
All right, thanks so much for the introduction, Sarah. As Sarah mentioned, I'm here with Inuvialuit artist Darcie Bernhardt, and Gillis, the Indigenous Arts Programmer here at the Gallery, and what a pleasure that is. So first, I just want to start by thanking everybody, for being with us here today. And, what a pleasure it is not only to, be interviewing Darcie, but also to be able to share this experience with visitors near and far. Thanks for being with us. So Darcie, let's begin and with getting to know you a little bit better. So tell us about your home community and some things you love about it.
Well, I'm from Tuktuyaaqtuuq, and also known as Tuktuyaaqtuuq, which means a place resembling caribou. It's along the Arctic Ocean, and so it's like basically right on near the Beaufort Sea. And I love, I think mostly it's food. Like right now, currently it's like dry fish season, so they smoke it, and they have and it's whale hunting season, so they're hunting lots of beluga whales, and that's right around this time. And then like pretty soon it's gonna be berry picking season, so it's gonna be we call them ukbiks, which are I think cloudberries up here, and well, especially right now I feel like I'm homesick because around this time it's a lot of hunting and fishing, and I think in the winter it's mostly just, or right now it's mostly just doing the things, being on the land, and then when winter comes, it's like pretty quiet. But then there's like really like you get to play radio bingo, and I don't know, have tea wherever you can go. I think that's what I miss the most. Again, food, and I also like I guess my community, because like I get to just go across my neighbors and get some fresh fish, or and I think that's what I love most about my home.
Oh wow, eh? Yeah, the way food can bring people together is so special too. So when you were up north, you know, eating all that amazing food, what was it that kind of like drew you to the arts when you were back home, and what brought you all the way south to Halifax?
I've always had, like, my mom's a seamstress, so she would make mostly parka covers, and she made this one for me. So I've always had because she was taught by a lot of elders in the community, so I was always around elders having to make tea for them, or and being because my mom was started out really later, I was her model, so I was a lot of like the testers. So I remember my arms right out with needles all around. So I guess also like being around that and all these different types of colors and fabrics, and mostly stories too that I heard from. And then when I was in like grade 7, I won a logo contest for Land of the Pingos, and in grade 7, and then ever since then I've been kind of drawing. Ever since then I've been like trying to draw everything, and I guess, and then I had friends here that went to NASCAD as well, and I've also wanted just to be across Canada and just try to pursue my art career and see what would happen.
Totally. And like circling back to stories, could you tell me about like the imagery on your cover that you're wearing tonight?
So these are the walrus tusk, and it's mostly it's mostly just to like, it's mostly in the western region, and also from Alaska and the Yukon, and it's just the tusks just represent strength.
Right.
And it's I think it's mostly carried with like Inuvialuit and also Inupiat people.
Oh, I'm so super fond of that design. It almost reminds me of the way that the tusk would cast a shadow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Deadly. Props to your mom. And real quick too, could you tell me like about your footwear that you're wearing tonight?
Well, these are gawaks, or they're called juju shoes, and gawaks are like Inuvialuit, and then juju shoes are just but it's embroidered, and then there's moose hide here, and then there's felt.
Wow. And
usually they're they're very pretty, and they're also very comfortable. But
and people probably can't see the detail on the jujus shoes. But that looks to me, from where I can see, like it's all hand embroidered. Yeah, that's a lot of work. So wow, blows my mind.
Thank you.
So all right. So circling back to some of your painted media. In the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia's exhibition, Worn Inward, an exhibition of emerging Indigenous artists exploring themes of Indigenous self-representation through wearable design and fashion, you chose the Delta braid. Could you tell us a bit about that inspiration and your connection to it?
Well, mostly when I first started, like, I guess throughout high school as well, and then also, I've also like, again, also being around my mom and seeing like the Delta braids, which is also known as kupak, or kupaksak is like the material to make it, and so like the delta braids are more, so they're layered right now. Like right now would be like bias tape, and then they're layered with each one to make a geometric shape. And so and the delta braid is mostly just to highlight like the parka, where they would be on the sleeves or usually on the bottom of the parka, and mostly just to highlight. And then also each design is pretty specific to each family, so it kind of carries through. And to me, I've always had an interest of like just the colors, and then the different types of like variety of shapes that they could do. And then it's also I think in Gwich'in it's Nutchinancy. I think it's like making it fancy, which is a cute. It's which is also true. And then so it's also in not only like Inuvialuit, but it's also in Gwich'in parkas. And but I think mostly I've always been drawn to like, again, color and the meticulous process to make them, because then they're sewn in like it's almost like folded. Like bias tape is like a folded material, and then you have to cut them and then make the layer and then sew on top of it, and also for it to be straight. So I think I really enjoy watching the process to make it, and it's like so meticulous.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I had the pleasure of seeing some of the work of your mother. Yeah, it's unreal, like especially when you get to look closely. And would you say that's bias tape that's actually trimming the designs on your cover right now?
Yes, it is.
Yes, there's
cool.
some bias tape right there. And it does, in fact, make it pretty fancy. And so I'm wondering, too, like, so with Worn Inward, something to take note of is that exhibition was a group of, emerging young Indigenous artists who were responding to Jordan Bennett's solo exhibition here at the AGNS titled Gadu Amidajik. And so that means that they want to come home, primarily featuring works of quill work from various eras and centuries, and the way that Jordan Bennett kind of brought it to life. And so could you speak to kind of like your inspiration with kind of like choosing the Delta braid, and what about it kind of like you were inspired by from his exhibition? What
really struck with me and what really like resonated with me is that the way that he would talk about letting these, like, not just objects, but letting these pieces, these works breathe as if they were like I think to me that's like, I think that was a powerful thing for me to think about, and also like also being a part of like other Indigenous artists and thinking about, and also being able to listen to that and hear that, I felt fortunate to be a part of. And also having that exchange, I think it also made me reflect as to what about my designs, about what I wanted to do. And I think it also kind of echoed the same color palettes, which was really cool. And I guess I got inspired of looking at the Delta braid specifically, is because they do have similar designs, which I found really cool. And then and I think for me it was mostly just for maybe my own self-reclamation as well. I think that I wanted to carry through with as well. And I chose the specific colors based on my grandma, which is also our nanak. And so I use the colors. Again, I really love color, and I think I use a lot of greens, and I really love pastel colors.
Nice. Oh, that's so wonderful. And so you're speaking so much about your inspiration from your family, the textiles, and the way that you grew up. And so this kind of leads well into my next question. So for you, what would you say are kind of like the barriers and the benefits to living and working outside of Inuvialuit region as an Inuvialuit artist?
Mm, I think the like with most like I think it's also just leaving your community and leaving because you're not only you're leaving. I'm leaving my culture, my access to my neighbors. I'm losing like the food, and I think the reality is that I just have to leave to get a better education. I think that's just how it is. But it's also I think very vital for me too, as to like to see beyond my community, and I think it's hard too because I think I shouldn't really have to think about leaving. I think that's not something I should think about too much. But I think also at the same time it's still having access to these types of opportunities, and that I feel fortunate to be a part of. But also it like gave me new community as well. So
and it's kind of really like overwhelmingly exciting to think too that because of our ability to broadcast today, there are people in your community. They get to see what you're up to, and they get to get inspired by you because you're doing some really incredible stuff.
Oh, thank you.
And so that idea of being far away, I know that you work a lot with photographs from your community, from your family. And I know right now we might even have Nunki up on the screen. So I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about who are you painting?
So Nunki, so he's my uncle, but in my language he's my son. So whenever like I have a part of like same with keeping, we have specific names, like I'm named after his mother, and then as a way of tradition to keeping their spirit or like something of them as a legacy to live on. But I like to like go back to memory, and also like going back to my own archives, and how I also use like very poor quality like photos, because I like to leave room for that unfinished, because if you think about memory, it's never really completed, or it changes every time. And I think it's like because it's also thinking about when you think about it in your head and trying to translate to like canvas, it's not there. And I think with my piece, or with my pieces, like a photo based from photographs, are mostly trying to emphasize that.
Right.
And these are people that I grew up with, or have always been a part of my life. And Nunki is a very special one, because I feel like whenever I'm painting anybody, it's like very close to my relationship to them, because it's also I think I want to show more people of my community and who influenced and encouraged me to pursue my art career or any type of art. And I think, I've mostly been painting.
Right. Oh man. Oh, that's so sweet. And so like when you are like choosing the photos that you're going to choose to kind of like blow up and make known, how do you go about choosing these photos? What is it about them that draws you to them?
Mostly like with Nunki, I remember that time actually when I took the photo, because then it was like the first like generation of iPads, so it was really grainy. But I think, and then when I like try to like see it on the like bigger and try to like do it, like make it high res, and it's really grainy. But I usually think about I think a lot about composition and color. And and I also think about the specific times that I create, or specific memories that I remember from each scene. Like I try to choose photos that I remember taking, but I also like to use photos that my families remember taking. So it's a lot of like mostly just trying to use those. But very poor, very like, I think it's mostly like, oh, remember this, that day, that type of thing.
Just real wholesome. Real wholesome. So, you know, when speaking about memory and archives, like, what do you find are some of like the main themes that you look at when you're deciding to make art, whether that's your painting or even, yeah, what are your main themes?
Again, memory, but I feel like also doing these like portraits and these scenes, I think of it as like a decolonial way of practice of archives and preservation, and mostly it's just like and also a way of reclamation of my culture and who I am and where I grew up. And it's also I'm tired of all these like Eurocentric tropes and narratives that always been depicted of like what the North is. So I think mostly I feel like I'm giving representation for other Inuvialuit artists and also other Gwich'in artists if I think I'm mostly just showing my how I grew up and who I grew up with and the scenes that I've seen, and I also think about sorry.
That's okay.
I think a lot about these types of things, and I just want to help give representation to other artists.
Totally. That sounds great. And so now perhaps we could have the next artwork up on the screen. And so there's quite a difference in the way that Nunki versus this current painting looks. Could you talk about like the way that you explore different effects in your painting?
Well, I found with like the portraits and then the more of like the abstract pieces, I go back to pattern a lot. So like again, thinking about the Delta braid, it's a very specific pattern, and when I was doing like each portrait, there are also a specific pattern I'm following the shape of the nose. I'm following the lapel of the shirt. So I think there is a meticulous element that happened with each scene, but then I also was creating I think in Nunki there's a chair at the background, and then also I think also in the background there's like on top of the freezer there's two of those. I think I love the meticulous part of painting, but then I like to loosen up too, because then I like to think about I'm thinking about another pattern and then a specific memory with just these two specific like color palettes that I like to explore with another in the abstract pieces.
Okay. Well, that sounds wonderful. And so we've talked a lot about your past works and your inspiration, where you've been. Maybe for a second, let's dip into maybe where you're going. So what are you working on now, and what's ahead of you?
Actually, I'm working on a project that's really special to me. It's so I'm working on a commission with the Wildlife Advisory Council, or also known as like North Slope, which is located in the Yukon. So that's, and they commissioned me to do illustrations of Inuvialuit stories and illustrations, and then so it's really cute because then I'm just looking back at old photos of like characters, and so the plan is to have like a short little comic book and or a graphic novel. So I've been working on that, and it's really cute because I've never worked with illustration or like that type of thing, and I don't know, it's going really pretty good so far, and I don't know, it's cute. It's really cute. It's like I'm doing all these little scenes.
Oh, that's so good. I can't wait to see them. And like, is there a place that people can kind of go to see your work and kind of keep updated with you?
Mostly Instagram.
Instagram.
But mostly like my website or Instagram.
Your website, okay. And so if people went to, let's say, darciebernhardt.com, they could then find your Instagram. Okay, very good. Excellent. Well, I think that's probably a great place for us to wrap up tonight. Thank you so much for coming out. I don't know if Sarah wants to say a couple words.
Thanks, Aidan. Thanks, Darcie. Thank you all for tuning in. You know, I'm reminded when we ask people to speak that artists make work so that they often don't have to speak, so that the work speaks for itself. And I'm so grateful to both of you for sharing your stories. In doing that, you help the rest of us to connect to your work and to your stories in a different way. And I appreciate everything that you said. I appreciate you sharing, and I also appreciate the opportunity to go and further explore the work through the website. I'm so grateful as well to our stellar team here at the gallery, to our sponsor, TD Bank Group, and to our tech team who have run this smoothly. And I'm grateful to those of you who are tuning in, and I'd like to invite you to our next conversation, which will be September 9th, in conversation with Brendan Fernandez. This opportunity is a chance for us to find some of the extraordinary silver linings that this pandemic has offered us, and finding our way to be close to each other despite being perhaps at a distance. So I'm grateful to you, Darcie, for sharing your work, Aidan for seamlessly running the conversation, and look forward to seeing you all on September 9th. Keep tuning in and keep each other safe.